Suhas, you're 18 and most of your peers, to be honest, right now would be going to college. And I think you might have heard this a lot of times about this, but they might be busy with assignments and they have exams and school. And while you are running a hacker house and then you're also running EVM Capital, which gives out microgrants, you also hosted a film festival, which I'm really interested to talk about. The only thing which comes to me is, like, as a 26-year-old, most of the people in their 20s wait for the right time or to be ready to do something what they want to do. And I don't think so you waited for that moment to come. I mean, you're not even in your 20s yet, right? You did not wait for that. I want to understand, like, what made you think that you did not need to wait for the right time?
I think I was fortunate enough to be exposed early on, which can be either through activities which my parents put in, and also can be through the technology devices which I was exposed to early on. I got my first computer when I was in first standard, purely because my father wanted me to learn and work around it because technology was moving at a very fast time back then itself.
When you say fortunate, what do you mean by fortunate enough? In the sense, like, are you affluent by background?
I mean, fortunate enough, not many peers of my friend group got access to any of these very early on. It can be either technology. It can either be sports clubs, activities outside of school, anything. They got it maybe when they were in fifth standard or something. I got it when I was in first. So that early exposure with my nurture mind was what I call it, very fortunate enough to being able to access all of them.
Was it like your father's idea to like get you into it very early on, or like?
Not really. So I was a very hyperactive kid as a kid. So naturally I was like to jumping around in places. So to get me into a right path, they had to do this. That was like a system which they had to do. What I say about hyperactive is, as a young kid, I used to break toys and I used to play around with anything, and I used to run around. I used to be active all the day, like really, really active. Like I used to never have energy drain out as a kid. That's what I mean by hyperactive. It was very, very weird. After fifth standard, I was a very introverted kid in school, and I never used to talk to anybody. I used to be in my own bubble. I still think my class teacher will not remember me in the class. So I was like that one kid who was forgotten in the classroom.
Like, was there a moment when, like, in your process of, like, when you got your first laptop, right? That was, I think, at the age of 6 or something. Like, you were in
First
class,
standard,
first class, right?
Yeah,
First
6.
standard. And then you started coding in the next few years.
Next 4 years.
Next 4 years. Like, you
4.5,
started learning
yeah.
from that. Like, what did you start with?
My school taught me Excel in fifth when I was introduced to Excel. My father comes from a financial background. And then I've seen him work on this for like years now. And I naturally wanted to do some what he was doing. Like, I see my father doing it and like, I want to also do. It looks cool. So I went learning online by myself. And that's when I realized there's this thing called VBA on Excel.
Okay.
And that's where you program the algorithm or like Excel sheets for like macros and databases.
Yeah.
That was like my first taste for like programming.
Okay.
It's a very unexpected route, but yeah. Usually it's people start programming because of games. I started with Excel, so yeah, very different.
Was there any particular like moment or inflection point where you realized that, okay, this is getting more serious now, and like I am now trying to build, I've moved past Excel level and now I'm going into coding actual stuff?
I did a bunch of experiments, random 2D games, maybe like a systematic. Most of them were games and databases, but just to work around, just play around. But in ninth grade, when they started sending me notes to write in school and used to submit online, that's when I built a tool to like upload your digital notes, get your handwritten notes from the site.
Oh, okay.
That's where like everything started. So yeah, I built that. It hit 300K users in 24 hours. It was top rated on Replit back then.
Oh my God, that's good.
It hit all the developer communities, and it just started just going around. It was pretty viral in the school community group chats, and everybody should do that. I don't think my school people even know that I did that pretty 4 or 5 years back.
I mean, they would have pretty much banned it in your school if they found out that
Yeah.
you can just.
But it was online, so online school.
Yeah,
online
but
class.
still, if you have like, if you can like, you did from text to handwriting, right?
Yes.
So that is like the more interesting part. Generally, people do like handwriting recognition and then convert it into text, which is probably like a lot of OCR work. But doing it reverse just like hacks
fun.
the game.
Yeah,
Right?
it was reverse engineered and it blew up.
Yeah.
And that's when Neurofix happened. I started
Okay.
building multiple sub projects under one name. Rather than me doing random projects, I focused on these niche problems. So once I understood, like, if there's like a big problem for you and you try to solve it, there's like 100 people, 200 people who wants it. And this project proved it. And I started doing multiple ones. Then there was like the online photoshops, which I used to work on. Did not hit. But throughout the career of Neurofix I was building, this one project was still the top most used.
I have just an anecdote in my mind. It becomes very hard to like creating something is permissionless, right? You have to create it. It's pretty easy at this point in today's world, at least in 2026. It's pretty easy to create something off the ground. We see like vibe coded apps every day, but selling something is pretty permission, right? Someone has to buy what you're selling. I want to understand like how did you get from like creating this to selling? Like that's a step which comes in. Was it just someone messaged you and you said okay, or was it like a different route you took?
Well, actually, I would say it was pretty lucky. I was pretty lucky enough that there was a person who was interested in what I was doing. It was not very outright reach because he has been using it for like a couple of months. And then he wanted to do something similar. So of course, naturally what was this is he DM'd me on Discord and when we started talking, I had no clue about valuation, user metrics, all of this. I knew that there's active users and I know how many people are using it and what's going on in the app. That's the only metrics I had. And when all this names, numbers came into my head, I did not know all of this. So it was like probably 3-4 meetings post which ended up happening at the sale, which he was not very greedy enough to like give me like a quote or say, I'm going to only sell it for this much. He was fairly flexible. He told, what do you think is a fair price? And I just went up with 5K.
What did you do with that money when you got
It's in
it?
crypto still.
Oh, okay. Oh, that time crypto was booming.
Yeah, it was booming.
What did you buy off in that?
Nothing. It was a stable coins.
Okay.
And that's how I started EVM with that.
I see this. That's
a
where it
thread
built up.
It goes on as a thread. Yeah.
Got it. It just looks like there is one path which your peers are running, and then you are having a very different life of your own, like a secret agent kind of life. You're having something in the morning, and then there's something to go back to.
Like, I don't
again.
think nobody know. My school didn't know I was doing this. My teachers still don't know I'm doing this. My friends, fairly few people know. Few people know because they're like really close to me. But yeah, I don't think now anybody knows what I'm doing though.
Like, what made you take those risks in the first place? Like,
I was in my own bubble.
Okay.
I had my own set of friends whom I should not be in school with, and not being socially active in school, so that made me cut off a little bit from my friend circle there versus here.
You kind of had like a group of people who you were hanging out with, and then those are the people's like whenever you think about ki what will others say, the others is what we define, right? Who those others will be, and that is what you kind of created that bubble, which helped you like get familiar to these concepts and go forward. What I want to understand is, like you said, like you got the money from there, and then you started EVM Capital from that money, which was like what, $5,000.
There was actually a time period before I started EVM.
Okay.
There's a small time period where I found my people and how I started it. So after this exit, I was still part of a lot of Discord groups, and I ended up meeting K, Andrew, Michael, Jai on a server. We're in the same Discord group, and when we came together, we thought of doing something. We didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So we just started this Discord server. We tweeted it out, and then like 60 odd ish people came, and they joined us for like 2 months. We didn't do anything there. We used to just do random stuff there. We used to be like, what's happening in the world, what's happening in the ecosystem, what's happening in Star. We should just like talk there. It would be like a discussion panel, like Reddit but open. Like anybody can join and see.
Okay.
It used to be like that.
Okay.
But at one point we got to know that there's like 200 oddish people and there's random stuff we're talking. What if we do something better here? That's when we started this thing called Astra.
Okay.
Astra is what localhost is now today.
Oh, okay.
So it started as a Discord server. There I met where Andrew, me, Kay, Michael used to host hackathons. We raised like $5,000. We gave away as our first hackathon winner's prize. Then we did another hackathon. We doubled our prize pool.
Okay.
Then again, we did another one. All of this were online. And end of the day, people come to hackathons for prizes. Nothing for like certificate or opportunities.
Yeah.
It's for the money.
Yeah.
That is evident, but nobody admits it. But we realized it. So that's when, what if we just cut off the hackathon part and give them money to build what they want? That's when localhost started.
Fair.
So Astra, we sunsetted Astra. We started localhost. We raised about 300K as an LP fund.
Okay.
This was a fund. And then we started investing in North America founders.
Do you think that being in a bubble made you delusional enough to just go and do it?
It did. It made me very delusional enough that I did the most absurd things, which kind of makes sense afterwards.
Do you call this thing as localhost or is it EVM Capital? Like, what is EVM Capital in that case?
So localhost went like this. I wanted to do something apart from getting institutional checks. I wanted to randomly bet on people and see what they do. So me and Andrew started EVM. So EVM is basically microgrants. You know grants.
Yeah, correct.
But it's micro. Where it's like not like $5,000 grants, but you get like a $500 grant. In short is we back high profile or like high agency builders with the minimum capital for them to kickstart their project.
Got it. What do you think is the good use case of a microgrant?
I say MVP. They can at least build MVP. And if they want, they can raise an equity round on top of the MVP. A lot of people cannot raise a pre-seed because they don't have an MVP or they don't have a clarity on what they want to build. But if they have that micro grant or like at least a grant to build something, they can actually experiment with 2 different prototypes and they can have something to show the world which people can bet on. That's a good play which we do on.
You said you randomly bet on people.
Not randomly, like...
Yeah, I mean, because...
Random people on the internet, yes.
True, but nothing in this world can be truly random, at least with humans. I think like there's some kind of bias, there's some kind of thought process you would have behind like who you can actually go ahead and fund. Like what do you look for when you're funding someone? Like, are you giving someone a grant?
So I had emailed Mark Cuban.
Okay.
With this.
Okay.
After 12 emails, he replied back, but...
Okay.
12, 13 emails.
What did you email him about?
Yeah, I was asking him, how do you convict on somebody? Because I never give checks to anybody. It's just the first time I'm doing. And he replied back saying, fund hungry people.
After 12 emails, he like wrote 4 words.
Yeah, exactly. After like, yeah, a bunch of emails actually. I've forgotten the count, but
okay,
it's there. He sent me the thing, find and fund hungry people. And that's what we are doing. We find for people who are like, who live in delusion, who wants to do things which are absurd, but cannot do, but have a high conviction, past experience of doing this, and then we bet on them. So we all of it is momentum of what they can do. That is through previous experiences of projects. And one is their idea and how future-proof is this. These are only 3 criteria we look for on money.
True. But what do you get out of this? Like if you give a grant, like nothing?
It's nothing. So EVM works hand in hand with localhost. So if something goes out of EVM and if something clicks out, we do equity from localhost.
Oh, so this is how you like are running that pipeline. So you kind of are betting on people. One. Second is like you are trying to fund them to see where they can go, which is kind of adding an incentive for their efforts. And then you come back and see if like some of it works. So technically you're like, so localhost right now, along with this EVM Capital, now you're running this localhost, like which is a hacker house, and you bring people in, and there's a lot of investment which goes in behind it. I'm assuming, like because you're bringing people in, you also used to give SkyPass like to fly. Is it still available for people?
It's only for our portfolio / grantees. We stopped it for like public.
And then you have
it was a high demand.
Yeah, and then you have like food and laundry and everything. Like there's so much which goes in.
So
in that,
it's funny that whenever I say localhost, it correlates to hacker houses, which is not true.
Okay.
Hacker houses came very, very later, and we are not doing it anymore in India. / anywhere in the US as well. We closed it fully.
Oh, okay.
It was a just experiment to see if in-person thing works. Because all we did for 1 year after running localhost was everything on Discord.
Hmm.
We used to find talent on Twitter.
Hmm.
We used to get on a call and we just used to do vibe call, vibe check,
Mhm.
see, understand what they're doing, work on if it made viable sense, if we like the founder, if we like the idea, we should give a check.
Okay.
That's how me and Kay used to operate.
Okay.
But this year, we wanted to do things different.
Hmm.
That's why we moved to the IRL aspect of. So we flew into 15 different cities
Mhm.
to just find people, to talk to them, to see what they need.
Hmm.
Like what are they building also. And then we selected out of them and out of the 700 people who applied, we selected just 15 people
Hmm.
to come build in Bangalore, in the house, which you've probably seen it. That's the story.
Mhm.
So the reason why we flew in was a lot of people not only are in Bangalore and Mumbai and Delhi, there are people like in Chennai, Kochi, in Bhopal, um, in Indore, a lot of different places.
Mhm.
And there are people who are trying to build, but they just can't make it to Silicon Valley, which is Bangalore or SF,
Hmm.
because they are very restrictive environment, financially not, they are not financially well enough. So a lot of different economic senses. So what we did was we went flying to all these places. We hosted like mini breakfast sessions, lunch events, dinners with all
Okay.
these founders. So it used to be like 30 people.
Mhm.
Me and my team used to sit there and we used to talk to all of these guys. It would be like casual chat. It's not be like, yeah, I want to invest in you on spot, nothing like that. Just to be a casual chat. I want to see what other projects are coming out of other cities which are not in the main spot, like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore. We want to see what's happening in Chennai.
Hmm.
Hardware builders. There's biotech teams. There are like people in AR VR space there. Then Kochi has so much of crypto.
Oh.
Bangalore has so much of EV.
Okay.
Hyderabad has a lot of manufacturing and hardware.
Mhm.
Pune has a lot of environmental founders, social climate technology, all of them. Indore was more about people building in SaaS tools and all of those. So a lot of different pointers and people we met.
Mhm.
And then we understood that there's talent everywhere across India. It's just that we have to select and choose and bring them to one place and see what they can do.
Hmm.
So we did this experiment to see what happens if we launch a house for like 30 days. We give them absolutely everything. What will they build?
Hmm.
And will a company come out? So we selected 15 people, somebody who's building currently, who has a 3-year plan of building it, wants to make it go big, has conviction, has something built before.
Hmm.
We selected these kind of founders. We flew in. We flew all of them in to Bangalore. We had this house rented for 30 days
Hmm.
in HSR. In in and we also had given them like a $50,000 card
Hmm.
where they could spend anything for
$50,000.
$50,000 card.
Okay.
Where they could spend anything for the next 30 days.
And all of this is coming from local hosts,
The fund
money
was
which you raised,
yeah,
which was
exactly.
around 300.
300. No, so the 300K, then 500K. Overall, close to 2 mil. But this year, we focused more on building community/ecosystem,
Hmm.
which was important for us because all of our deal flow was basically through people of Connect and Twitter, which is not a very good source. We wanted our in-house talent pool.
Hmm.
And Hardeep joined us a couple years back.
Hmm.
Actually 1.5 years back.
Yeah.
And then he used to run residency. He was the
okay.
conning team of residency, and then he didn't want to run Hacker House. It was kind of boring for him.
Uh-huh.
So he flew to 30 countries. I flew to 15 different cities. He lives in Canada, so he was like, he has access to the visa and all of those. So he's flying to different cities.
Mhm.
He used to cover the stories of founders from there. And then I used to meet people from India. So it made sense we are playing global, local, not only for India.
Hmm.
And all of this ended up at a hacker house, which was an experiment,
Hmm.
which to see, can people with high agency people build a company in 30 days? Which could have been a show, but we did not do a show. Which could have been a Big Boss show, which I did not do.
I mean, you did go viral with that video,
Exactly,
which Caleb
because
made.
it was probably the first time in India
Hmm.
there was something very authentic and raw, which was happening.
Hmm.
And naturally it just happened. And then out of all the people we selected, two companies are in talks to raising capital. One got into virtual accelerator.
Can you name them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Markov got into virtual accelerator in the US.
Okay.
There is Whisperwave. He's working on an active noise cancellation system. Already committed a few soft checks from a few angels.
Okay.
Then there is Prava Payments.
Uh-huh.
They just got by Nikhil Kamath 2
Okay.
weeks back.
Okay.
WT funded now.
Okay.
Then there is Maya Research by Demon. He raised over 1 mil in pre-seed round for his
Oh.
company, and that particular model is top 20 in the world today.
Oh.
It's also beating Sarvam. Then there's Zenith. It's a cursor for hardware. He just launched it. Pivoted us slightly, but just launched it. Figuring out right now.
And for all of these companies, you are like kind of the first investor,
First believers.
first believers, but like you always also invested money in them, right?
Yeah.
Do you have equity in them, these companies?
Some
part of it.
Yeah, but also in talks for like other companies which are like coming out of stealth, which is like the AR glasses, all of them. But yeah, nothing to reveal out, but still in radar of ours. But yeah,
To be honest, your story till now feels like a good kind of fairy tale kind of thing where like people who would watch the Social Network could like really get off on what you're telling about, right? Okay, I am like 18 years old and I built all of this, and I like it just feels the way you're telling the story right now to anyone who would be listening, even me, would feel like, oh, I just knocked on a gate and it opened, right? But it wouldn't have been like that.
It wouldn't have,
right?
yeah.
I mean, like when did people even started taking you seriously about these things? Like you had a track record of making a company and doing what, but still, do you go to rooms and then people would not take you seriously and say, he's just a kid?
It used to happen, but not when we not like in a year time now.
Can you tell me when that changed?
Probably when we did our first announcements of whatever investment / exits we had. So I did a post saying, we did this companies, we raised this much, we gave out this. That went pretty popular. And after that, it just compounded on top of it. So people knew what I was doing, what EVM is, what localhost is. And then it correlated with other builders. So they just stopped treating me as a kid after that.
Okay.
They got to know the ecosystem which is running behind me.
And this is like the kids probably the builders which you, because
not only the builders, it's also the social perspective. Now people actually don't know my age. It's funny that I'm 18. They mostly think I'm like in 20s. And then when people say that he's 18, that's when they are shocked. So it's good that they don't know I'm 18.
Got it. So when you set a path, when you set your path on a trajectory, right? You keep going on and doing that, and you start creating an identity capital for yourself, right? It is kind of good and bad in a way. It's a boon because now people know you from your work and they see that, oh, this guy, like, oh, Suhas, I remember him from there. Like, oh, Suhas, oh, the localhost guy. So this is how people like remember other people, right? The one whose hacker house video got viral. But it's also a trap, right? Because then it stops you kind of like it in psychology we call this like building an ego, right? So now you have built that kind of like identity and personal self that moving to a different lane becomes a bit harder.
Yeah, agreed.
Personally, and also like how would you like convey this to people? Okay, now I was like super on doing this, and now I want to run and create a film festival, right? And that's what you did, right? You hosted like that Mumbai AI Film Festival, which is like pretty cool for sure. But then what I want to understand is like, how did you like help me understand if you were like running towards that? Were you planning to do that, or were you running from something? Like, why did you like take that path? Like, filmmaking is a very different area altogether. How did you and that venture of AI Film Festival came into being? That's what I want to understand.
It was not planned. It was not planned. Hardeep was in the store, right? And he was in France where he met a guy called Michael, where he saw him do filmmaking using AI. He used to do this. He used to teach people how to make films using AI, and it should be very short, like 15 minutes sessions or something. It should be the most sloppiest AI movies you could have seen. And then the Hardeep was pretty inspired by that, and he wanted to do something in India. Not only in India, he just wanted to do, but then he figured out it'll be better to do in India, given the time density and how our entire operations team can be outsourced to India here. So he flew into India. He stayed for the next 2.5 months here.
Okay.
He was in Bangalore. We did the first trial run with a short story hackathon.
Okay.
It was hosted like in 4 days.
Uh-huh.
So we had like 50 people come up to show, and we had like 10, 20, 10, 18 films done there
Okay.
on spot in 4 hours.
Mhm.
4 hours something. And then it was screened. It was pretty good for 4 hours. And that's when we thought, what if we do it for 3 days and take it much bigger? And that's where AI Film Festival happened. So Hardeep is the actual media side. So
Okay.
in Localhost team, even though we are all the co-founders, we take over different projects. Me and Kay operate on the venture and technology division. Hardeep operates on the media division.
Oh, I
So,
see.
so that's why Hardeep was the front face for AI Film,
I see.
Film Festival, right? So, yeah, he wanted to do this somewhere big. Then one of our sponsors told that you can do it in Mumbai because Bollywood is there. So yeah, we started inviting Bollywood guys, and for that we got whacked on Twitter.
Why?
Bollywood and AI is not good combination that I got to know after we announced.
Oh my God. Okay. Was there something else which went like very tangential, like off while you're like hosting
everything
it?
was off actually. One of the biggest sponsors did not happen. You know, they committed through and they then withdrew out of it.
Because you got cancelled.
No, just because we did not align it to the company's procedures, IP and all of those.
Oh, okay.
You'll know the company.
Okay.
It's a big company.
Okay.
Richest people in India.
Okay.
So
Okay.
So you
yeah,
know
makes
it.
sense.
You know
yeah.
it, yeah.
I got it. Yeah.
yeah. So half the budget went off.
I mean, you also did not host it at their venue.
Exactly. Of course, yeah. And then half the budget went off.
Oh, fuck.
then we had to figure it out the next part. Of course, Bollywood doesn't like it because they are the core figure of it. You know, having AI is
Fair.
thing. We had Abhay Diol from Zindagi Na Milega Dobara to be coming, and then he dropped out because of the hate. Zoya Akhtar also dropped out because of this. So yeah, two big celebrities did not come to the venue because of the hate going on.
Okay.
And there was a lot of.
But then there were still people
There
who
are people,
believed in
yes.
it, and then they came out.
Yeah, exactly.
to work
So
on it.
there's a bad part as there's a good part. The bad part was that, of course, there's a lot of criticism. Good part is there was 1,500 application who sent
Oh.
for the film festival.
Okay.
Out of that, only 50 people we made it to cut through. So yeah, it happened. So we got this 120-year-old property in Royal Opera House.
It's like one of the
oldest
legendary places.
place.
Yes.
Then we had a Rolls Royce there because we wanted to keep it. Then we flew in a robot to greet all the A celebrity guests coming there. We got Tanmay Bhatt, Ritesh Deshmukh,
Yeah, I saw that.
Kunal Kapoor, Shakun Batra, all of the Bollywood guys. Then we made a panel to ask them, what do you think about AI to address the audience. So, and then we also screened the films made by all of the...
What was that one takeaway from all of that discussion which happened? What did you realize?
They are using AI. Shakun Batra is himself using it for his own movies
Oh,
at
okay.
Josh Ka Films,
Okay.
his studio. And Tharma uses it for his ad scripting and everything.
Oh,
So
okay.
they are using it.
It's there, but it's in the undertones of
Yeah.
like people don't like
exactly
popularize it that way.
Yeah, good event. Conclusion is there is film and AI which goes hand in hand, and there's filmmaking happening, and now people have started using AI to make films. So good market.
I mean, but what like did something change for you personally after like hosting such a big film festival, which was like off your lane technically? Like,
I mean, yeah, it was a little off by my lane because I'm not into media.
yeah.
And not into like the film side of shooting or content. It was a little off for me and Kay especially. We were figuring out how is this gonna fit local. We're still figuring out. And then now we start a media division, so it makes sense. This runs under media side. Venture, we don't touch this at all. So it took us a transition, but yeah, the problem with our team is like all of us are impulsive in doing things. So Hardeep is like, yo, let's do, and like, okay, cool, you do. And then me and Kay come up with some random idea, and then we just executed it. So it's like very impulsive decisions, and then we just do some thinking in the back to make it sense if it's viable or not, and then we just ship it. So it's like we don't have a lot of argument analysis. Analysis is there. It's like arguments and through and fro going on for the judgments. Once we say it's done, it's like we just end up doing it.
Your dad is in finance. Your mom worked at IBM. Like,
Yeah.
can I be bold to assume that you come from an affluent background?
Fairly.
Fairly. Okay. Do you think that contributes to your
Yeah, they
parents being like okay with you doing all of this stuff?
Not really. because my grandfather still asked me to say, go back to college and do your degree.
I mean, he might be the first generation to build that
Yeah, fair,
money and like that status for your family. So then I think it comes fairly good.
Yeah.
Like it's a
Yeah,
valid advice in his POV.
he's more skeptical about me doing anything apart from my parents. My parents are more chill. He's like, he'll do fine. You don't worry. And then my grandfather will be like, you do whatever you do, but finish degree, okay? So it's like pretty funny, but yeah.
Do you
Yeah, I will.
see yourself finishing your degree, or do you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
drop out and become like the cool kid?
I don't see dropping out as a cool kid.
Okay.
That's probably the Silicon Valley side thing.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of dumb folks in my circle trying to drop out without doing anything.
Okay.
And I can do that because I have something built, but again, it's a dumb move, I feel. You can probably just have the degree just for a safety net in case things don't go right. What if things go right and you have a degree? That doesn't matter. So yeah, it's like,
Do you see that as a safety plan kind of thing?
it's not a safety plan, it's just to show my family I did it.
You are fairly young. I want to understand from your outlook. You've been running this in Bangalore, SF, Paris, Romania, Japan, and you've seen builders all around, right? Do you see something which people can like take from different builders from the world, which Indians don't do in general?
Few things like in terms of how they prospectively build projects in the first principle way, which nobody does in India.
Okay.
Which is mostly through, it's like, I'll build project and I'll go raise money and then I'll do this. That's the fair mentality of every person or every founder I met, unless he has experienced the taste of going through a failed experience or an exited experience, or maybe fairly a good run. At least if you're among these three, and if you have not done it, you'll probably be in the first category I told. Like trying to do like, yo, I'm gonna build up MVP, raise money, and then compound on top of it.
Be rich after a point
After
when
a
I'm
point,
like raising.
yeah, they glaze through Elon's things, like they think like it's easy to do, but once you get into it, you'll get to know it's like
What do you
fairly
think like enables other folks to think from first principles and not in India? Why do you see that? Like, do you see a mindset shift?
Yeah, it's a mindset shift. It's mostly because even in schools, you're taught from the textbook. You're not taught why is it. And they do the brainstorming method. They see if it works, top down, up down. A lot of methods they do, which fairly not seen in India. At least a few people now I see doing, but back then nobody used to do.
And if I flip this question around, like, what do you think India would have, which people across the globe can take from the Indian builders?
The hunger to try to win, they have it.
Okay. And what makes you say that?
Because even if they have failed thing, they'll try to do something again. They'll try to do on.
This is the Indian folks.
Yeah, Indian folks. I've never seen any person trying to fail and then be like, full stop and go back somewhere else. He'll try to do something again new.
Okay.
There's this tweet, I saw it a few years back. I think it was by Balaji. He tweeted saying he's bullish on Indians and bearish on India.
Okay. Okay. Lot of pointers here. If you're moving fast, and that's what you said, like we think about it, we don't analyze, we just like move forward, and like the moat is to move fast and like work there.
I think we have excelled in that space.
Yeah, that's what I want to now understand. Like, since you are moving fast, you're like running different companies now at this point, and you have a global presence somewhere, right? Because now
somewhere, yes.
you're reaching there, and I think in the next 5 years, you probably, like, if you continue on this path, the trajectory looks really good. Do you ever get scared that you'll trip at some point?
We all do.
And how do you like guard against that? Like, what do you?
Then we realize that there is something which we can do. That's when we slow down sometimes.
Okay.
And realize what do you think is giving us the feeling. And then once we kind of, that itch for us, the tripping itch is gone, where that self-conscious awareness comes in, and then we try to think through and get satisfied if this works, then we end up going. That's where things get slowed down in the process a little.
Got it. If I'm like, think about this again, you all are teenagers, right? And to be honest, teenage years are like some of the years where a human starts building their perspective and their worldview, they start like understanding what the social dynamics are, like how do you interact with other people. Do you think like there's something which specific thing which you missed, which you wanted to experience like while you were in school or something?
Actually, I don't know. Actually, nothing.
Nothing? Really?
Nothing. I know what my friends are doing. So comparative to what they are doing versus what I did, I feel I did the right thing.
Do you feel superior to them somewhere?
I don't, because each person has a different path. So I don't mind into getting
And
into
that's a
theirs.
diplomatic answer. Yes.
Yeah.
You would. I would expect you to answer this, but was there really not anything like,
No,
for
I
example,
never-
there's a lot of things which I would have wanted to do in school, but I couldn't because of whatever fears or whatever shit was going on in my head. But
I mean, if that was the case, probably I would. Everybody in my school would have known what I was doing, what I was working on / versus how much I had raised. None of them they know. I keep it very low key.
why did you keep it low key?
Because when you reveal all of this, it builds ego in our friends. That this guy is doing something and I'm not doing, and that friendship gets cut. I did not let that happen.
But do you not think that if you are not being vulnerable in front of your friends, how does that affect your friendship? Is it like then more transactional in that
If
case?
they discover me naturally, that is fine.
Okay.
Because they come and ask me saying, "Hey, I saw you." That's what they did when the video went viral, and then they asked me what I do. Saying that is much a natural approach
Okay.
versus me going and saying in front of them, which feels like an ego for them. Gen Z state of mind is too bad.
Okay.
So yeah, I keep
Is it like
low-key.
because everything is super competitive?
Yeah,
I mean, it has always been, to be
it
honest.
has always been. But if you go back a few years and say this, people will be there to probably support you. But now it's more like, how will I beat him? That's the game. Which, so like that ego building is very much there within the Gen Z.
There's been a lot of things which you have discussed. There's a lot of interesting pointers here. I was just constantly writing down to like have thoughts on it. And we'll wrap up the conversation now, but we wrap up generally with something now. Like this is something which I recently started, and I call it as the sudo command. Right, something which people can tell themselves, which gives them permission to do stuff which they normally wouldn't. If you have something which has truly changed you, like there's some quote learning, something, whatever, just goes in back of your head, which helped you build agency and which can help them build that level of agency and that level of bias for action. What would that be? What would your sudo command be?
If I had to go back and think, I would probably focus more on getting a mentor early on, very early on. It's never late to get a mentor, but having a mentor is superiorly good.
Okay.
He's like your second brain guy to give your thoughts and get your feedback on, and he's the one who will probably get a chart right on. And also, it's like a mentor whose niche is probably in your niche, and somebody who can actually help you. And it should not be like a guy just randomly choose a mentor and be like that. It should be somebody who has gone through the same phase as you, or person who knows the industry well. Get them early on. Life changing. It did for me, but I did it too late. I got a mentor very late. But
that is just an overstatement at this point.
No.
What is too late in this case?
Okay, in my case, but it's never late ever to get. You can always learn fast.
Because that's what all I had for today.
Oh, lol.
And I think there was a lot of interesting points in that, and few things which I understand from this is, one, you need to find, I think, the mentor, which is one thing, and the second thing was around finding that tribe of people outside of the constructs you are in. Right? For example, if you're in office, you need to find people outside office which do not share the same beliefs as what you are having. And I think you did the same thing when you were in school. You did not have like only friends from school who were there.
Yeah.
And third thing was, I think, which I realized was around what people need to do is, I think it's an Indian mindset. I don't know if we can change that or not, but thinking from first principles is something which I believe is very hard to do. Reason being, in India, I think we are taught somewhere that you don't have enough time and you need a lot of time to think from first principles.
Yeah.
Every time you are in school, you're in like office, every time you're just rushing through things to be somewhere. Like everyone just needs to be somewhere. I think that is why a lot of, I think India is tired right now in a lot of things. And that's why that first principle thinking doesn't come in naturally in the first place. Right. I don't know if we can do something about it, but I think raising awareness about that topic will help people slow down. And I think this has been a very interesting conversation. And thanks a lot for being here. Would love to see localhost office once it's open.
Yes.
And that's all. Thank you.
Awesome.
Just बात बने लिंगो बनी हॉबी बना प्रोफेशन में कहाँ से बना प्रोफेसर ये मुझे भी पता नहीं